Hi guys. Today I'm just going to talk a little bit about safety in the office. So obviously, kind of main concern is how do we keep ourselves safe in our offices, and there's lots of things to kind of plan for and think about when, of course, going into business for yourself, let alone trying to keep yourself and your clients safe. And of course, by being in our field, there's like an added level of of intentionality that needs to be there kind of for everything that we do, for the business and for our clients. And it's really critical that we make sure this extends into the business thought and process, but also as well as into the important elements about safety for us and for our clients. So I'm going to kind of break down kind of the really important safety items to keep in mind when finding your office, when setting it up, when scheduling your clients, and etc., to make sure that you're really keeping safety at the forefront of your thought. So when looking for an office space, obviously this doesn't pertain to a lot of you right now, but if you do ever leave our office space, just keeping a lot of these things in mind so you can ensure that your office space is safe and that you're not signing a lease with someone who doesn't have kind of your safety at the forefront of their mind. So of course, just making sure that your office kind of has a lock on it, or if it doesn't, it has the ability to add one to it. Best case scenario is that your office does not lead to like the exterior of the building, and that there are some interior barriers between you and the outside, so whether it's a waiting room or other doors. Also making sure that there's kind of more than one exit, and so that includes, of course, doors and windows and other ways. You don't really want to be in a space with no windows and only one way in and one way out. And kind of thinking about too, like, where are those windows leading? Are you on a second or third story where you can't easily use the window as an exit? And are those kind of doors or windows leading to like a empty alleyway, or are they leading to a busy street? And just kind of keeping that all in mind. Also thinking about the parking situation too. Is there parking close by? Is the parking lot well lit? Is it street parking? Do you have the possibility to have to walk really far to your car? Just kind of keeping that kind of safety stuff in mind. And then kind of thinking about inside the office space, like, who is around you, what other businesses are around you. Of course, for us, we have the tenants upstairs, but in our unit, we're all mental health or wellness professionals, so we typically have like-minded individuals and similar schedules, so hoping to kind of cut down on the ability of you being the only one in the office. And then kind of when setting up your office, really trying to think about how you to configure the furniture to make sure that there's kind of no barriers between you and the door, and that you're sitting closest to the door is always kind of suggested. Making sure you're looking at the decor in the office and evaluating if there's any potential weapons, and removing those kind of weapons or options that could be weapons if you are concerned about your clients. Depending on kind of what clients you work with, maybe it may be appropriate to have like lockers in your waiting room, so people can lock up their stuff and come and get it after their session. We of course don't have that. And then of course, like an office-wide emergency plan. We hope no emergencies ever happen, but it's always good to know what to do if there is an emergency. So I am just going to kind of go over like what our policies are at the office, but again, of course, keeping this in mind if you ever leave our office, making sure you're kind of in the know of your office-wide plans and or making them to keep yourself and your clients safe. So of course, let's think, like if there's a fire, like we don't expect you to fight the fires. There are fire extinguishers under the two sinks in the kitchenette area, but of course, like, get yourself to safety, call 911, call me, use the windows, use the doors, use whatever you need to do to get outside. If there's power loss, that could be an emergency. The breaker boxes in the condo units are behind the inhale-exhale poster, so of course you can try to flip the breaker if you need to, but if that doesn't work, call me and I'll call the city and get the power back on. There's a tornado. Of course, again, hoping none of these things happen. Office 0, Office 1, and then the 2 restrooms are the spaces that don't have windows. So advising to kind of go in there and close the door and hunker down there. Active shooter, dependent on kind of like where it is or what would be going on with that. Just remembering that all the doors outside of the restrooms and the waiting room kind of auto lock when you close them, and that outside of Office 0 and Office 1, all the kind of rooms have windows, so getting into a room, staying in your room, keeping the door locked, and then getting outside into another safer area, calling 911, of course, calling me, could be a possible space there. And then like if you have agitated clients, so whether it be a client in session who is just really, feisty and frustrated, or maybe it's a couples session or a family session that using your best clinical judgment to see if staying in the clinical space is really the best for them, but maybe someone needs to go out to the car or take a break. And, if you are separating your clients or separating the family or whatever it may be, just making sure like you're setting a plan with them. If you're going to allow them to re-enter session, how they're going to re-enter. And so maybe that looks like making sure they have your number to text when they're cool and calm, and you can go get them back from the waiting room. Or maybe it looks like, you'll just kind of go outside and check on them in a couple minutes or whatever it may be. But just remember that, of course, our waiting area is locked and that they won't be able to come back to the offices on their own once they leave. But maybe it's just kind of like you have a client in crisis, or maybe that needs a higher level of care, and just making sure you're adjusting your schedule accordingly to sit with them and be with them, and not just kind of sending them on their way or in the waiting room by themselves or something like that until, EMS or whoever comes to make sure that they're getting the appropriate care. Some other things that are kind of important, maybe like when scheduling your first session with someone, I always think it's great to screen potential clients a little bit. And so before scheduling that intake appointment, maybe offering a free 10 or 15 minute consultation call and using this time to kind of ask pertinent questions in regard to safety, and just ensuring that, of course, they're a good fit for your practice or your expertise, so you don't waste your time or waste your client's time either. But if possible, trying not to schedule new client appointments late into the night or as like your first appointment of the day, maybe trying to put them somewhere in the middle. Just again, clients are coming to us with a lot of difficult things and really hard spaces, and before we kind of get to know our clients and where they're at, sometimes it can just be good to schedule them in the middle of your schedule, just so you know that you have someone else coming that maybe will be in the waiting room and you won't be there alone, or there might be other clinicians in the space by then. And then, of course, like always allowing yourself to give yourself an out during a session. So whether that be having a colleague interrupt your session, maybe that means leaving your door cracked a little bit. If you are concerned about a client getting, agitated or volatile. And maybe that means like before you go into a session, letting a colleague know, hey, this is going to be a really difficult session, X, Y, and Z, and just kind of keeping people in the know if you are concerned about safety. And then it can be helpful, like there are, like if you wear a smartwatch, I know Apple Watch has like, if you hit the side button like 5 times, it calls emergency services. I'm sure other smartwatches have that capability as well. It's also just suggested to keep your cell phone near you or on you in case of an emergency, so you can reach out to emergency services if needed. There's also, lots of different self-defense techniques that people are recommending that therapists and or all humans learn, and I can kind of add a link in there about some self-defense moves that everyone should know in and outside the office. There's also different apps that you can download on your phone that kind of act as like a panic button and kind of call authorities at the touch of a button, kind of similar to the smartwatch thing. But yeah, so, I'll provide any helpful links or anything like that that might help you guys But if you guys have any tips or tricks or things that you do or don't do, or really anything in regards to your safety or client safety in the office, just add it in the comments. But if not, then I'll see you around the office or maybe just in the next video. Okay, bye.